So I did a fifth grade science lesson and we used argumentation and debating over a science topic in the classroom. So what the students discussed is how human infrastructure affects wildlife. And so this scenario that I gave the students was there's a large population of deer in a forest that is untouched by civilization. And then all of a sudden there's a highway running right through this forest. And how would the highway affect the population of deer? So the two answers that the students had to pick from, so the first one is the deer population would decrease because of the dangers of crossing the busy highway, or option two, the deer population would remain the same because they would just migrate deeper into the forest and away from the highway. And so students were able to pick a side and then debate which one they thought and argue with the other side to further their point and why they chose that side. And so the two types of thinking that were used, the students used, was analytical thinking. The student was able to analyze and compare and contrast their ideas with the other students that had picked the other option. And then there was also practical thinking, because the students were able to relate this to personal life, because we do live in Texas and there's lots of deer population here in Texas, especially in small towns, which some of the students were from, and so they were able to personally relate to this scenario and how deer migrated in and out of towns and stuff like that. They were able to relate to this and they were able to support their answer through their personal knowledge. So the TEK that I used was a fifth grade standard. It's predict the effects of changes in ecosystems caused by living organisms, including humans, such as the overpopulation of grazers or the building of highways. And so that's the scenario that we used. I kind of dissected that TEK and applied how human infrastructure can and does affect the natural wildlife, and the students were able to pick which one they thought was more accurate, and then they were able to debate and discuss why they thought that. And so the lesson went really well. I feel like the students really used their personal experiences with deer population for their practical thinking, and then they were able to use analytical thinking as well to compare and contrast their thoughts with the other students.